U.S. President Donald Trump has once again extended the deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz by 24 hours, pushing it to Tuesday, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. The move comes just hours after the United States announced that it rescued a second American airman from a military fighter jet that was down over Iran. Iran has warned it will target all infrastructure used by the U.S. military in the region if aggression against Iran escalates. Meanwhile, Iran and Oman are reportedly holding talks on options to ensure the smooth transit of vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. BTS has topped the U.S. Billboard 200 for 2 weeks in a row, setting a new milestone for K-pop. The group's latest album, Arirang, remained at #1 for a second straight week, marking the first time any K-pop act has held the top spot for back-to-back weeks. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today with the latest on the conflict in the Middle East. U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening massive strikes on Iranian infrastructure if Tehran fails to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by Tuesday, while simultaneously suggesting a diplomatic breakthrough is imminent. The stark ultimatum comes just hours after U.S. Special Operations Forces successfully extracted a downed American aviator from deep within Iranian territory. Our Kim Do-yeon has the latest.
U.S. President Donald Trump has extended the deadline for a negotiated settlement with Iran by 24 hours, giving Tehran until 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Tuesday to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The extension was accompanied by a profanity-laced ultimatum on social media on Sunday local time, in which Trump threatened to turn Tuesday into, quote, power plant day and bridge day. Demanding the immediate reopening of the critical shipping lane, he also warned Iran's leadership that it would be a living hell if they failed to comply, underscoring his readiness to authorize massive strikes on core infrastructure. The social media post came just hours after a Fox News interview where the U.S. president projected optimism, stating that an agreement is highly likely by the new Tuesday deadline. He confirmed that active negotiations are currently underway. The aggressive public threats alongside diplomatic engagement appear calculated to reassure global financial markets while applying maximum pressure on Tehran. Trump added a final warning that if the current talks collapse, the U.S. will not hesitate to seize Iranian oil assets and systematically destroy key infrastructure. This follows a successful military operation deep inside Iranian territory. U.S. Special Operations Forces, spearheaded by Navy SEAL Team 6, rescued an American Air Force colonel, the second occupant of an F-15E Strike Eagle that was shot down over Iran on Friday. The weapons systems officer evaded capture for more than 24 hours in hostile, mountainous terrain before a 48-hour extraction mission brought him to Kuwait for medical treatment. The aircraft's pilot had already been rescued. During the exfiltration, U.S. forces deliberately destroyed 2 of their own disabled transport aircraft to prevent them from falling into Iranian hands, directly contradicting claims from Iranian state media that a U.S. military plane was shot down during the search. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Iran is warning it will retaliate against any U.S. attacks on its infrastructure as U.S. President Donald Trump's deadline for Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz nears. Meanwhile, Oman and Iran are holding talks aimed at keeping the vital shipping route open and preventing further escalation. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Iran is warning of direct retaliation against any attacks on its infrastructure, as tensions with the United States continue to rise. According to Iran's foreign ministry, its military is ready to strike U.S.-linked assets if faced with what it calls an act of aggression. Spokesperson Ismail Baghai emphasized that any response would be proportional, following threats targeting bridges, power plants, and other key facilities.
Iran's reaction would be one of reciprocating any such attack. Our armed forces have made it clear that in case Iran's infrastructure is attacked, we would react in kind.
The warning comes after Donald Trump issued a deadline for Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by Tuesday evening. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Sunday, Trump said if Iran fails to act, they won't have any power plants and they won't have any bridges standing. Tehran has condemned those remarks, calling the targeting of civilian infrastructure a criminal mindset and accusing Washington of inciting war crimes. Begay also addressed the American public, arguing the conflict is a war of choice by the U.S. administration, not its people. He pointed to protests in several U.S. cities as a sign of opposition and accused the U.S. of carrying out atrocities, including a strike on an elementary school early in the conflict. At the same time, diplomatic efforts are underway to prevent further escalation. Oman and Iran held high-level talks on Saturday, focused on maintaining maritime stability. Officials and technical experts met over the weekend to discuss options for ensuring the safe passage of vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Both sides say proposals were presented and will be reviewed, offering a potential path to reduce tensions in a region critical to global energy supplies. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
On the local front, President Lee Jae-myung has expressed regret over South Korea's civilian drone incursions into North Korea. Referring to drone launches several months ago, Lee said at a cabinet meeting this morning that although the incidents were not intended by his administration, the reckless actions of a few led to unnecessary military tensions. He instructed relevant ministries to take immediate steps to prevent a recurrence. This comes after a joint military police task force announced last week that a National Intelligence Service official and 2 active duty soldiers were involved in assisting 3 civilian suspects. The task force says the suspect carried out drone launches 4 times between last September and January. The 6 individuals have been referred to prosecutors. BTS has set a new milestone in K-pop history, becoming the first act from the genre to top the US Billboard 200 for 2 consecutive weeks. According to Billboard on Sunday, the group's 5th studio album Arirang remained at #1 for a 2nd straight week, ahead of Ye's Bully and Melanie Martinez's Hates. This marks the first time any K-pop act has held the top spot for back-to-back weeks. Previously, the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack reached #1, but not in consecutive weeks. The Billboard 200 ranks the most popular albums in the United States, based on physical sales, streaming, and track equivalent units. The National Museum of Korea has been seeing a noticeable surge in the number of visitors, and discussions are now underway about introducing an entrance fee for the museum. Our culture correspondent Park Gun-woo explains more.
A must-visit free tourist destination in Korea? These days, the National Museum of Korea tops the list of many travelers, so much so that they make time to visit within their first few days in the country.
It was a good starting point because I could get a whole picture of what I could see afterwards in the whole country.
Until closing time, visitors from around the globe make the most of every moment, capturing lasting memories.
Where we got to actually flip the pages of the books that they would be using to log the different people, the different items they were using, and being able to interact in that way helped us get that better understanding. It was really.
Through collaborations with K-pop, the museum is drawing even greater attention. That's evident in its recent collaboration with BTS, as it showcases detailed information about the historic Seongdeokdaewang Divine Bell, where visitors can hear its sound as featured on the group's latest album, along with related merchandise.
I think having that as a point of reference to make everyone kind of come and learn about history and experience things and be able to have those tangible interactions with the exhibits and things, I think that just kind of ties it all together in a bow really nicely.
With the surge in foot traffic, the museum has gained global recognition. Due to its popularity, this museum ranked 3rd in annual visitors with over 6.5 million last year. That was followed by the Louvre and the Vatican museums, while surpassing the British Museum. Among them, international visitors exceeded 200,000 for the first time last year, reaching 230,000, around 4% of the total. However, amid efforts to enhance the overall visitor experience and improve content quality, some discussions are underway about possibly introducing an admission fee for the first time in nearly 20 years.
Many major museums abroad have adopted paid admission systems. If it means higher quality content can be provided, it could be a better approach. A fee of around 5,000 to 10,000 won would not be overly burdensome.
The expert added it could help build a more premium image for the museum, while strengthening its self-sustainability and enhancing the overall appeal of its content. Park Gon-woo, Arirang News.
As we head into the second week of April, South Korea is officially in full bloom. Among the top spots to take in the season's signature pink and white hues is Seoul's Yeouido Cherry Blossom Festival. Our Chung Hee-rim was there.
A canopy of pink and white has finally swept over the capital. After a series of unpredictable cold snaps, the cherry blossoms along Yeouido's Yunjungno Road have reached their peak, turning the road into a watercolor painting of flowers.
We come here every year, but I took the day off today specifically to spend time with my second child while the oldest is at school. Seeing how much my little one is enjoying the flowers makes it all worth it for us too.
Yeah, this is my daughter and my son. Yeah, this is our first time here in Korea. The cherry blossom is so amazing.
My friends from my academy and I finally found the time to come out here together. Seeing the flowers like this feels extra special.
Visitors are enjoying the blooms nearly a week earlier than last year, with flowers opening on March 29th as an unseasonal surge in spring temperatures accelerated the season, according to weather authorities. Local officials report that over 340,000 visitors flocked to this area on Thursday alone, a day before the festival's formal start. This year, the experience goes beyond just a stroll under the trees. The festival is divided into 4 theme zones. Visitors can explore the art queue featuring local artists or catch a street circus performance between photo ops. They can also grab snacks at the food and beverage zone, with food stalls run by local youth startups and traditional market vendors. With the festival running through Tuesday, the city is prioritizing pedestrian safety. Traffic on nearby roads will remain fully restricted until April 8th. Officials are strongly advising visitors to use public transport. Cherry blossoms represent the end of a long winter and the beginning of a vibrant spring. The festival is expected to draw millions more over the coming days, all here to witness the capital's stunning transformation. Chung Hee-rim, Arirang News.
As unmanned systems take the lead on the modern battlefield, the South Korean military is pushing to introduce a new type of combat engineering vehicle that integrates drones and robots. Now, by deploying this kind of equipment, the Army aims to minimize the dangers facing frontline troops and reduce potential casualties. Our Cha Yun-kyung reports.
An armored vehicle advances through enemy lines, escorted by reconnaissance drones. It identifies and targets enemy positions using AI-powered detection systems and 360-degree cameras. If a hidden landmine is detected, an explosive disposal robot is deployed from the vehicle and moves in to neutralize the threat. This is the Army's new combat engineering vehicle, which integrates drones, robots, and remote weapon stations into a single mobile platform.
By having unmanned systems in high-risk areas, we expect to enhance soldier survivability and operational efficiency.
Combat engineers, who clear enemy mines and obstacles to open paths for soldiers, are often the most exposed to danger during the opening stages of a battle. The Army's strategy is to minimize personnel exposure and reduce casualties by deploying unmanned equipment. The vehicle boasts the highest level of protection among current armored units, remaining functional even against anti-tank mines. Supported by the firepower of suicide drones and mortars, troops can be deployed in a far safer environment. With the mobilization of high-tech equipment, operational times have been slashed by more than half. The Army plans to refine the vehicle's performance through trial operations before full-scale field deployment. Cha Yun-kyung, Arirang News.
With unusually warm winter temperatures causing honeybees to leave their hives too early and die, researchers in South Korea have developed technologies to help them survive the season. Our Kim Sa-young reports.
Inside the storage unit, beehives are stacked neatly on top of one another. The temperature is kept at around 5 degrees Celsius, while humidity is maintained below 70%. If daytime temperatures stay above 12 degrees Celsius for 3 days in a row during winter, queen bees start laying eggs, mistaking the warmer temperatures for the arrival of spring. But once that happens, the lifespan of worker bees can fall from 150 days to just 40. To prevent that, researchers at the Rural Development Administration have developed an indoor hive storage system. The system uses a special dehumidifying method. Because excess moisture inside the storage unit can weaken the bees, the system removes water from the air by turning it into frost. The unit also uses low-noise motors and red lighting that bees cannot see, helping to keep them undisturbed during the winter.
Humidity control is especially difficult in low-temperature storage. In early winter, particularly in November and December, frequent rain can push humidity levels much higher. We developed this technology to prevent that from happening.
The Rural Development Administration has also developed a water pack insulation technology for beekeepers who keep their hives outdoors. The hives are wrapped in flat, water-filled packs mixed with magnetite, a naturally occurring iron oxide mineral. At night, the water freezes and releases heat. During the day, it melts and absorbs heat. By using this process, the system cuts temperature swings inside the hive by more than half.
Hives without the water packs did not seem to recover as well in the spring. But inside the hives with water packs, far more bees become active.
The Rural Development Administration says it will continue testing the technology through 2027 and begin supplying it to beekeepers nationwide in 2028. Kim Sa-young, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. Serbian authorities on Sunday discovered explosives planted near a pipeline in northern Serbia, which carries Russian gas into Hungary. The discovery comes just 1 week before Hungary holds its national election. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán called the incident sabotage and blamed Ukraine. Ukraine denied it and called it a Russian false flag operation designed to influence the Hungarian vote. Adding to the suspicions, a former Hungarian intelligence official said security circles had already been privately discussing a plan for exactly this kind of staged attack. Serbia's military intelligence chief said the explosives were made in the United States and authorities are hunting a suspect with military training. On Sunday, 8 OPEC Plus members agreed to raise output quotas by 206,000 barrels per day for May. OPEC Plus says the move signals readiness to ramp output up the moment the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Analysts are calling the move largely academic while the waterway remains closed. The increase covers less than 2% of what has been affected by the closure of the strait. Missile and drone attacks have also severely damaged energy infrastructure in the region, and officials say it would take months to recover even if the war ended today. OPEC Plus holds its next meeting on May 3rd. Over the Easter weekend, 2 merchant vessels off the Italian coast rescued 32 survivors and rescued 2 bodies after a migrant boat capsized in the Mediterranean while crossing from Libya to Europe. Survivors have reported that 71 others drowned at sea. Italian Coast Guard transferred all survivors to the island of Lampedusa. The International Organization for Migration reports at least 683 people have died in the central Mediterranean this year alone, one of the highest annual death tolls since 2014. Pope Leo made his Easter Sunday address to thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City and called on world leaders to lay down weapons and abandon all desire for conquest and domination. The first American pope also warned that humanity risks growing dangerously numb to violence and announced he will host a special prayer vigil for peace at the Basilica on April 11th. Last week, Pope Leo appealed directly to U.S. President Donald Trump and urged him to find an off-ramp to end the Iran war. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Unlike the bright spring weekend, it's been a wet spring day. Most of the rain in the capital area should taper off in the afternoon, but rain in southern provinces will continue through the evening with up to 30 millimeters in the forecast along with thunderstorms. Adding to that, yellow dust may mix with the rain. So make sure to keep an umbrella handy and keep a mask handy if you're in the capital area. Then after the highs will be lower than on Sunday. Seoul will be getting up to 15 degrees Celsius with sunnier skies expected in the afternoon. Gwangju, Busan both will be topping out at 17 degrees. Meanwhile, once the rain moves out, cooler air sweeps in right behind it. It could feel as if we are stepping back into early spring. So there will be big temperature swings this week with more rain at the end of the week. Take good care of yourself so as not to get sick.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.